Ladies and gentlemen.
Uh-oh.
It's time for the Early Bird Special. Bringing you the best stories from the world of sports and sports entertainment. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
Well, good Tuesday morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube and Twitch. This is the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick. That is Sparky. Sparky, good morning.
Good morning.
Let them know what they're in for.
Oh, we are all over the place today as the NBA schedule was released. We'll get into AP's top 25 college football rankings as we'll get into that, and early Heisman favorites. Yes, early Heisman favorites. NFL news, including what you just heard with Cook returning to camp, Cam Hayward holding out, and Myles Garrett. And it's not good news with Myles Garrett. We'll get into Sunday ticket. Maybe there is not the commercial-free red zone anymore. We'll get into that. Plus, our boy 24KG will recap Monday Night Raw and throw in his comments on Karrion Kross at 8 o'clock. Plus, we have another pair of tickets to Bakersfield Brunch Fest to give away to our loyal listeners by texting in at 661-842-2000.
Absolutely. And trust me, you want to go to this event. If you're in the Bakersfield area, if you got a significant other, or even if you just want to go out and hang out with friends, Brunch Fest is one of those events that you really want to go to. There's going to be a ton of different bars and restaurants at this place that are serving you brunch bites and drinks.
And it's in October where it's cool,
it's
nice weather.
Finally be nice outside. This is the one event I don't mind working, genuinely. And it's not that I don't. I love working Mac and Cheese Fest. Don't get me wrong. I love seeing everybody. But Mac and Cheese Fest can be hot sometimes. Some years that one gets pretty toasty. But Brunch Fest is always at the perfect time of year, and it's fantastic food. Who hates breakfast foods?
Am I the only one that eats breakfast for dinner sometimes?
Oh, no.
My wife looks at me crazy because I'm like, what do you want for dinner? I said, I want breakfast.
When I tell you my dad makes the best French toast of all time, and I'm a
fried potato person.
See, I get that. I totally get that. I love hash browns as well. But my dad makes I don't know what he does.
It's love.
But no.
It's not.
It's not love. It's some sort of witchcraft. I tell you. No, because don't get me wrong. There's love in there. There's always love in there. He's my dad. But there's some sort of witchcraft with this. Me and my sister have been trying to figure it out for years. I think she's well more on it than I, but I don't know what he does, but his just comes out ridiculous.
It was a deal breaker when I met the ghost face. I explained to her that she had to learn my mom's fried potato recipe, and after a couple of years, she got it down. So, yeah, she knows when there's
give you an ultimatum, because that's a pretty interesting.
Well, the first year, I had to eat what she called fried potatoes.
Oh, that's
and
fair.
I was like, okay,
you have to eat them with a smile.
Let me call the mama bear and get you trained. But no, she knocks it out. But my son looks at me crazy because he does not want breakfast for dinner. So I don't know if it's a generational type thing, but when it comes to Brunch Fest, trust me, out of all the fests that go on all year, this was my favorite personally, just because of the weather and the breakfast, lunch. We get some chili out there with some Bloody Marys. You can't beat that.
No, you can't. But as always, with that time of year comes football, college football and professional. We got to start with college football, though, because they have been leading in stories right now because of the rankings being released. Texas, for the first time ever, at the top of the AP poll. Pretty interesting to see, especially with Arch Manning coming in his first year as a full-time starter. One thing I am disappointed about, you took it away from us. You took it away. We were set up, Sparky, to have for the first time ever on the opening weekend, a number one take on a number two. Texas and Ohio State are scheduled to play each other to open off the season on August 30th. And they took it away from us because they put Why do we have this love for Penn State?
I personally do not know.
What is the love for? Can anybody text in and explain this to me, or feel free to chime in on the YouTube chat as well? Call me a dummy. I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's me. outside of Saquon Barkley and Tyler Algier, K, and actually, I don't even know outside of that, I might not even go that far. Most of what I grew up with the Nittany Lions hasn't necessarily been positive. So I don't get the love around the Nittany Lions. And I'm not even a Buckeyes fan, but Shauna Haddad,
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
She's sporting Jets gear now.
I know.
I'm like, come on,
I know.
man.
No. Ride with it. If you got
No.
love for the Bucks, honestly, if there was an NFL team out there that was strictly USC players, I'd have a little bit of love for you. Although you wouldn't have a good quarterback, but I'd have a little bit of love for you. This was odd to me that Ohio State only got 11 first overall votes, I should say. Nittany Lions got 23, Texas 25. The list goes down from there. Clemson at 4, Georgia at 5, Notre Dame at 6, Oregon taking 7th with a one single vote for number 1. I don't know exactly who that was, but Alabama's at 8, LSU 9, Miami rounds it out at 10. The rest is Arizona State, Illinois. There's some interesting schools in here that are like I'm expecting a little bit more from. SMU after their pretty breakout season last year. I'd like to see them return, but the likelihood of them having a back-to-back really good seasons like that is very, very unlikely. But them coming in at 16 is pretty nice. Kansas State 17, Oklahoma at 18, Texas A&M at 19, Indiana at 20, Mississippi University at 21, Iowa State at 22, Texas Tech at 23, Tennessee 24, and Boise State rounding it out at 25. Unfortunately, I don't think anybody's expecting Boise State to stay up there anymore without Ashton Jeanty. But interesting start. I still am disappointed, though, that they took away what should have been arguably the greatest start. It's still going to be an incredible game watching Texas and Ohio State start out this year or entire season on August 30th. But to take away the number 1 versus number 2, this is why, like the AP polls and stuff like that with the NCAA irk me sometimes because I need to hear your decision making on this. Because do you really expect the Nittany Lions to be a better team than the Buckeyes?
Nope.
No, not really. But again, they know something that I don't, obviously.
Or they don't.
I'm
going Georgia, so.
You're going Georgia at the end of the year?
I'm going Georgia and Ohio State at the end, but
I have always just loved waiting out for that one team that isn't in this list.
It surprises
that
everybody.
Busts into the top 10. I'm not sure exactly who it's going to be this year. It's college football. It's really anybody is on the board. I pray to God it's my USC Trojans. But the likelihood of it happening, I realize, very minute, especially in the Big Ten.
Yeah, if you're a college fan, let us know if you like that list. Or if
I know a lot of Notre Dame fans that are very happy.
Yeah, and I even went into the Heisman with the Heisman already the favorites listed, and really with Arch topping that list. I mean,
Arch kind of has an unfair advantage to a lot of this because coming in with so much hype, I feel like it's just going to hand it to him. You know what I mean? If he has a semi-decent year with Texas, it's going to be a runaway. And Texas is way too talented for him not to look good, realistically.
Right.
I just love that he isn't necessarily taking this as a one-and-done kind of a season. He wants to stay and establish a legacy. He wants to do things that his uncles didn't, which I like hearing because that means he's going to carry that mentality into the pros when he inevitably does go in. But it also means the Saints are going to suck one more year.
Yes.
So,
and do you think this is a little bit too early to call him the favorite?
No, not at all. I don't think that at all. Coming into this, I think he was already the shoe-in favorite for this.
See, I thought award. It was the LSU dude, but
I mean, don't get me wrong. The LSU quarterback Garrett is he's going to be one of those in consideration. And if LSU has a breakout season, or I can't even call it a breakout season, if they finally play to the number 1 capabilities that everybody had been seeing them as for the last 3 to 4 years. Maybe we can get Kelly his first championship. Maybe.
I wouldn't be mad at that.
But again, it's all going to boil down to how good he plays. If he steps up and leads the Tigers into that area, absolutely, I think he would warrant taking that award away from Arch Manning. But again, that's why I feel that Arch kind of has an unfair advantage because the media already coming into this season is enamored with him. I mean, he's a Manning. who's not going to go in thinking the Manning? You know what I mean? It's like he came into his freshman year and arguably his senior year in high school already polishing the trophy. It's just inevitable when this kid walks away with one. So is it going to be this year? Or is it going to be next year?
And that's what's cool about the whole story is that he wants to stay and win a trophy, but it's going to be it's got to be tough being a Manning in the first place.
Well, that's why I feel like he has that mentality, because I've met a lot of kids of athletes, especially star athletes, who really didn't want to play the sport that their parent played. Like, I mean, we've seen it with Michael Jordan's son. I personally met in passing. I don't know him personally, nor am I going to say I know him personally. I met him one time out in Arizona.
So it's your buddy.
Ken Griffey Jr.'s son. He's a real nice guy to me. And I just asked him that question: why didn't you play baseball, bud? Like, just being a huge fan of his dad.
Yeah.
Like, why not follow in dad's footsteps? And he gave me a very valid answer. He's like, do you know who my father and my grandfather are? And I said, you know what? True. Why? How are you going to live up to that? You know what I mean? And kind of in the same realm is Arch Manning, right? He has to live up to Eli, Tom Brady killer, and Peyton, Uncle Peyton, who's arguably the greatest quarterback to ever play. So you have to do something, especially if you're going to take this seriously and follow in their footsteps. You got to do something to set yourself apart. And the only way to do that on the right foot is to stay at Texas, win multiple trophies, and set yourself out in a different light in the college realm before you come into the pros and essentially pull a Cooper flag and might be the first football player to eclipse a couple $1 billion in your career. To be honest.
Speaking of family and their sons, Kurt Warner's son, EJ Warner, was named the starting quarterback for Fresno State yesterday. EJ Warner. And along with that, Ty Simpson was named, which is not a big surprise.
No.
But Alabama's starting quarterback. And when does college football actually start? A couple
30th.
weeks?
Yeah.
It's
August
the 30th?
30th.
Because I was hearing ESPN this morning talking about the 23rd, and I didn't know if that was...
No, actually, you know what? I think you're right. I think games do start on the 23rd. I think there's a handful that start on the 23rd. I think Texas's opener is on the 30th.
But speaking of football, that sets up perfectly because we've got several NFL stories, and then we'll get into Red Zone. Red Zone has always been one of my favorites because it is commercial free. But that seems to be in danger. We'll talk about that and much more right here on the Early Bird Special.
Welcome back. And good morning. Marky tries to wake you up with a little bit of metal music. Real quick before we leave the world of college football as well, I forgot to mention, if you want to know why I'm so skeptical about the rankings and stuff, the Longhorns, although number one team in the nation this year in terms of the AP polls, they're also the first team ever to come in at number one overall and be an underdog in their season opener to Ohio State, who you have at number 3. 2.5-point underdog. Now, I realize the AP polls probably have nothing to do with the betting lines, but certain things tell me that certain experts think otherwise of Ohio State. Like, I don't know how we have that. And again, you took away what could have been the greatest opener of all time, but we'll get over that. College football is here. And yes, we do have some games on August 23rd. Actually, the real season opener apparently is Iowa State versus Kansas State, which is ranked and will be on ESPN on August 23rd. But only a handful of teams, including Fresno State and EJ Walker, who will be taking on Kansas, play on that day. And then the rest of the
2 weeks, baby.
Rest of college will start up on technically that Thursday on the 28th, but major games start on that Saturday of August 30th, where you'll see Texas versus Ohio, Syracuse, Tennessee, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's going to be a great time. And again, football's here. So is anybody really complaining?
Nope.
Not at all. I know somebody who is, though, at least about a bad back. Matthew Stafford.
Who was expected to come back to practice yesterday.
Well, he came back. He came back to practice. He didn't lie to anybody. He came back to practice.
Well, he's been there watching.
But yeah, he did not partake in any of the practice at all again. Is this starting to sniff a little bit like the Christian McCaffrey deal from last year, where the team kind of just made everybody believe, oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah,
I promise he'll be
fine.
ready for the opener. Don't worry.
And thankfully, I did not draft him in my fantasy last year.
Well, and that's why I'm saying this. Like, if anybody out there is listening to my voice and you play fantasy football, I would very much now kind of wonder if I should draft Stafford if he's available.
And does that hurt, you think, other players on the Rams? Probably aside from the running back, but I mean, Devontae Adams, players like that, Puka's always good for 5 to 7 receptions a game. But if it's coming from Jimmy G, not Stafford.
Yeah, I mean, when you really look at it, you're losing a potential top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Like, although I know we didn't necessarily agree with it, and I still say that, especially with the bad back and the lingering injuries, he's not necessarily to that level anymore. But still, when I say your ceiling is up there, it is up there. Your floor has just drastically fallen because of age and injuries. So, I mean, yes, it doesn't benefit their wide receivers in any way, shape, or form. I think you're still sitting okay. I think Jimmy G is a solid quarterback. Wouldn't say he's a starter, but if there is any chance, any at all, that Matthew Stafford will be able to play this season, and we know how tough he is, we've talked about it, I think he's going to play. Again, I just worry that if he does play and somebody hits him just in the right spot,
puts himself in more of a danger.
Exactly. Especially on the blind side. I know your offensive line held up pretty well last year, so I'm not worried about that. And you have plenty of weapons around him. But him coming back to practice and not really partaking in practice did kind of give me a bombastic side, or a reason to give a bombastic side eye.
And this is what Sean McVay said about, him not practicing yesterday.
Like we've said, we're going to be flexible and fluid. I think more than anything, I feel for Matthew because of how much he wants to be out there and feel good. Ultimately, what ended up happening, had a great workout, felt good, but then, come in today and it doesn't feel great. And so didn't think that was the right decision to be able to push him. We've kind of always talked about flexibility, being fluid with some of the plans. And I think more than anything, I feel for a guy that, I really care about, that wants to be out there more than anything else. We're going to be smart, but he didn't feel good enough, and we didn't think it was the right thing to do based on, how he woke up feeling today.
At least we know. I mean, there's never been a question that Sean McVay is a smart man. Again, Stafford's toughness may be turning into stubbornness at one point if he does play on this injury.
And you force it and turn it into a bigger issue. And Chris Canty, Big CC, kind of talked about, how serious and should you be even worried about it?
Hell yeah, it's time to worry. And it's not the fact that he's not practicing, it's the specific injury that he's dealing with, an aggravated disc in his back. Let me tell sports fans something in case they don't already know. When your back starts acting up, that's the beginning of the end.
Oh, boy.
That's the reality of it. And we're talking about a player that is going into his age 37 season and who's dealt with a lot of injuries throughout his career.
I don't have to say anything. I've been saying that for the last couple of days.
It kind of repeats exactly. I mean, fantasy wise, like Burdick said, keep an eye out. We'll see in the next coming weeks, but I would put Stafford on kind of the question mark. I mean, obviously you're not drafting Stafford in an early round, but when it comes to players like Puka and Devontae Adams, I think that even if Stafford does start, they might pull it back a little bit, take it a little slower in the beginning of the season, kind of get him back into football shape and see how that injury, proceeds into the future. I mean, last week he was taking shots in the back just to practice, or at least to just throw. I know last or Friday he was throwing 60, 70 passes and he needed a shot for that. So we're talking real-time football here in a couple weeks, and we'll see how serious it turns out to be. And another injury that came out right after we ended the show yesterday, my Dolphins losing another player for this year, which this one wasn't a big shock to me, with Alexander Madison, who has looked shaky in the last week of practice. I know he's had the fumbleitis, and even playing in the fourth quarter of the first week of preseason, kind of seems that the coaches are kind of nervous about him too, especially with the turnovers. But when you have A-Chain, you got Jalen Wright coming back, which you didn't see much of him last year because he got hurt in the beginning of the season, but he was a prospect that I had my eyes on. He's a hell of a running back. And what we saw out of the rookie Ollie, he looks like a bruiser. I like that kid, man, Ollie Gordon. But yesterday, after hearing about the Madison injury, they signed not one but two running backs with Aaron Shanklin and Mike Boone from the Panthers. And we'll see. I think most of those are going to be camp bodies. I think those first three I'd mentioned, Jalen Wright, A-Chain, and Ollie, will probably be the locks. Please God, there's no more injuries, but we'll see. I know we got a text. The only reason I brought up the Dolphins is because we had a text that said, from a Raiders fan.
Of course.
He said, I heard last night that the Dolphins and Raiders are in talks of trading Tyreek Hill to the Raiders for Michael Mayer and several draft picks. What do you guys think? I think it's crazy.
I don't think that's enough. Well, nah, it's not enough. It's not enough.
I just don't see Miami trading Tyreek without at least getting either a starting cornerback or another receiver.
And we haven't heard rumblings of a trade for Tyreek in quite some time. I know we did at the end of last season, but once all that kind of boiled over, we never really heard of it again. The one that was really boiling over was Ramsey. He did not want to be there, and he wasn't going to have his mind changed.
Bye.
So with that now being out of the way, I don't think Miami is planning on moving on from anybody. I think they're planning on running with what they have. Now, if Miami obviously comes into this season with a really bad start and needs to do something in order to turn it around,
that's when I think the coach is probably out.
If Mike McDaniels ends up getting fired, I genuinely believe Tyreek Hill would also be on a short list of names that they would move on from in order to get either draft capital or a player to somehow turn around a season and get them into the playoffs.
And the only trade rumblings I've heard from Tyreek in the last couple of weeks, which has kind of calmed down, was the Scary Terry trade. And I just don't see it happening. I think it would be beneficial for both teams. But I just, it's that time of the year where you get players that just want money.
That also, to me, I mean, don't get me wrong. When you told me about that trade, the whole straight up Tyreek Hill for Terry McLaurin, that's a Madden trade. And I say that in a sense of trade. That's a fan-made trade. Like when I hear people put up trades like that, like when I heard that what the Falcons were offering for Micah Parsons, That was a NFL trade. For those of you who don't know, all that I've been reading was that Atlanta has sent over multiple requests for Micah that were Kyle Pitts, Tyler Algier. I believe there's a third player involved. It was the defensive end from Washington that we never got to use because he blew out his ACL last year, and multiple draft picks. That is an NFL trade because it's so one-sided that it's ridiculous. And that's usually how these trades end up going. You never see an NFL trade where it's a mutual one-on-one, like, you know what? You're one wide receiver one for my wide receiver one. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
That never happens.
When has that ever happened?
It's like the only time that happens is when you're playing Madden with a buddy and said, "Hey, I don't like playing with Tyreek Hill anymore. You want him? Yeah, I don't like Terry McLaurin. He's not working for me either. Okay, cool. Let's swap."
Yeah, what I've heard from Omar Kelly is that Tua and Tyreek have kind of been buddy,
Yeah.
trying to recoup that relationship that they had. And Tua, I mean, I have to give him credit. He stood up and told the press, this is a broken relationship. And, when a player, especially a captain, leaves the end of the year saying, I need to go.
Yeah.
Then, it's time, because a ton of players put in a ton of work to put that camaraderie and a team together. And for somebody to act childish like that at the end of the season kind of pissed me off too as a fan. But they're professionals, and anybody that knows Tyreek, the attitude Tyreek has, and he
Right.
wears it on his sleeve. So hopefully
Honestly,
Tyreek doesn't go anywhere and we win some games this year and we don't talk about this anymore.
No, and that's pretty much just how football is now. I mean, I know we talk about it with the contract holdouts. We're going to get into it after the break about Cameron Hayward's, but this is just kind of how football seasons go. These players are very outspoken, they're very emotional. A lot of them are just wanting to win. And I genuinely believe that's what Tyreek Hill's thing is. I don't think he hates playing in Miami at all. I don't think he hates playing for Mike Daniels. I think that he just hates the fact that they haven't been successful like they were hoping they would be. And obviously that comes with a lot of frustration. If you've been in the locker room, if you played football before, especially for a losing team, it sucks. You don't want to show up to practice. You don't want to do the work because it sucks. You don't want to play for this team. We're just going to lose anyway. It's a completely different situation than when you're playing for a team that's running off into a championship world. So I think that's just basically what we get at the end of the year is just the mounting frustrations. Although, again, yes, we've heard that he wanted out at one point. Although I just don't think that's the case anymore. I think that they've talked him over it. I think that they've figured out the frustrations. They've moved on from all of it. But again, if the season goes down in a negative route, especially in the first half of it,
then we'll hear more about Tyreek.
yeah, I think that Tyreek Hill's name will be popping up because now you put your name on a short list of people that are a little bit over your skis, at least in the sense of, you're not lining up to what you're worth for the team anymore. So, but we got to take a break real quick. On the other side, we will talk about Cameron Hayward and his contract holdouts as well. And for all you Swifties out there, I forgot to mention this. She had a huge bomb drop on the podcast of Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce the other day. We'll talk about that as well. This is the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield.
I'm glad you brought it up because I already
was
had her on my playlist today,
I was not calling for a Taylor
and
song.
I'm already catching heat from it. So
God.
all right,
Oh,
it's all right.
I didn't ask for this.
I'm not a closet Swiftie. I don't need a closet. I love Swifties, so there's
I
nothing
grew up.
wrong with Taylor Swift.
I was in high school when this girl started making music. I remember the first music video of her and that dude with the stupid messages from across the windows and all that, like
The
the
notes.
notes and all that. Like, I applaud her for everything and all the
Hey.
success that she's had. But yes, for you Swiftie fans, because I've seen plenty of videos about it since this entire thing. She's dropping the album, the new album, and she dropped the album cover on the Kelsey podcast. Has this episode come out yet?
Nope.
Does it come out
just was
today?
announced yesterday, and they had the picture with the question
Yeah.
mark, and you could tell it was Swift.
Yeah,
But
because he cracked her. I remember the joke being cracked that she busted out the briefcase and was like, "Ah, it's my album." So apparently, she's going to be announcing it on the Kelsey podcast whenever this episode is released. I assume this week or maybe next week.
it's coming.
It's a countdown. So for you Swiftie fans out there, you have more music to get excited about. Personally, I applaud her for her success. Just not for me. It's not normally
It's
for me.
more for me.
Go for it, dog. I will gladly. You know what? Let's send Sparky out to a Taylor Swift concert and get some content done, huh?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
I need a
love to see
GoFundMe,
that.
but yeah, let's do it.
Oh, good Lord. Talking about GoFundMe's, Pittsburgh needs one to pay this defensive line because Cameron Hayward wants to get paid more. Now we know that he got paid last year, and he knows he got paid last year.
2-year, $29 million last year.
But he has come out and said that he wants to be valued. And he even said as well, at least from what I read from The Athletic, that he told the media, yeah, I know I signed one last year, but to be honest with you, when I signed it that year, I told him I'm going to have an all-pro year. And if I do, I expect to be valued for that.
As he did.
And this is exactly what this turns into. Question I have for you, though, my friend. Good idea for him to hold out at the beginning of the season? Bad idea.
It's good for him.
I mean, we've seen it work out in some instances. Kansas City Chiefs with Chris Jones. Obviously, you need to get paid.
We've seen it the backward side too. So I personally think he's well worth it. And what he's brought to the Steelers for his long career, I think pay the man. If you're going to pay all these other, misfits on the rest of the defense, why not him?
I agree, but at the same time, I'm sitting here thinking, if there's one team that doesn't value you, really, Pittsburgh, and I don't mean to make this sound like he's saying that he doesn't feel valued by the organization. I'm sure he does. He's had a long career there, but you don't think that they're going to sign you for one more contract if you want to come back, dude? Like, really? You're Cameron Hayward. They've paid you your entire career. And Pittsburgh is one of those organizations that has proven they'll pay you until you drop, until you're ready to retire.
I mean, it's just been a Pittsburgh deal. I mean, with Watt, with, bringing in Aaron Rodgers, you traded for multiple players. I mean, I think if he has the I would say the Jerry handshake, that if he comes out and, is an all-pro, he did his part. And I think he's a major piece of that defense. Obviously, he gets shadowed by, players like TJ Watt.
Mm.
But you need that man on that line.
Oh, 100%.
And I think he gets paid either way. But missing time is only going to hurt Pittsburgh. Not really him in his age.
That's kind of what I'm going to argue, though. I don't know if it does. Like, don't get me wrong. Not saying Cameron doesn't add to this defense. He really does. He like you said, he's an all-pro tackle. You need that guy. But when you look at everything else that they have on this defense, as long as TJ stays healthy, as long as Jalen stays healthy, Joey Porter Jr., Darius Slay.
And Slay is a question for me, but
I mean,
I personally think when it comes to run stopping, that's the man you need.
True. But again, this is why I wonder if this is going to work out in that case. Because we said the same thing about Kansas City, right? When it came to the Chris Jones contract, how much did Chris Jones really add to this defense? And you saw it right away. When they came out into the season without him, they couldn't stop the run. They really couldn't. He comes on to the team again. They stuff everything. So maybe you're right. Maybe this works out for Cameron and it works out in that area. He's getting paid $14.5 million with this contract, which puts him at about 23rd in the area of defensive players being paid in defensive tackles. I mean, how much are you willing to pay him at this point, though? How much do you need to bump this up for him to
He
feel
probably wants
valued?
20.
That's what I would think.
Yeah, he probably wants around 20.
So $5.5 million more.
Uh-huh. And probably add an extra year to it so you don't have to hear from him anymore.
Yeah, so he could ride this one out and not have
This
to.
will be his final contract and let him ride it out.
Nah, maybe you're right, but $20 million a year for the next 2 to 3 years.
My real question is, how much money does Pittsburgh have right now?
That's what I'm saying. And you're having to pay all these other guys as well.
Especially if the Rodgers experience doesn't work out, then you're looking at, oh, damn, we don't have a quarterback next year.
Well, at least you have
And
Mike Tomlin.
at least you have your defense intact. But speaking of other contract talks, we've been talking about, the Trey Hendricksons and now James Cook, who is now back at practice today. Hopefully he practices. We said the same thing about Stafford yesterday, but James Cook announced that he will be practicing with the team for the first time today. Obviously it benefits Buffalo, but, we talked about it earlier when the offseason started about James Cook and his value. He had a hell of a year last year, but is it time to pay that set running back after one good year?
Now,
Probably
again,
not.
His contract is coming up and you need to pay him regardless. It's more of the amount of money you're asking for. I mean, we talked about it when he originally was asked or put down the amount of money he wanted, and he was warranting about top 5, top 10 running back money. Not to say he can't develop into that, but your stats haven't exactly shown me, or your production hasn't shown me that you are that or worth that kind of money yet. So I think it's more that this is a good sign for the Buffalo Bills and the Cook Cook
camp.
group.
Yeah.
Camp. Thank you. That the contract is at least going in positive directions. We're finding a figure that we can both agree with. You may have to overpay him a little bit here to keep him happy, but I personally, it shouldn't be anywhere near what he was asking for. Or I shouldn't say anywhere near. It shouldn't be in that area. Maybe drop it down about $3 to $4 million. Then I would.
What was he looking
it.
for in the beginning?
It
was like 15.
Yeah, something like that. 15, 16 million. And I'm like, 12.
That's a lot for a running back that has had one good year, but
and that one good year wasn't even a great year, right? He was in the top 15 in most of the statistical categories, and he can do more. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if you could produce a little bit more for me and prove that you are worth that 16, 17, $18 million contract, sure. But Buffalo, to me, wasn't driven through James Cook.
Yeah, give it to him in bonuses.
Yeah, there you go. And just set up some statistical hurdles that he can jump over, and then he can win it up that way. But I think that he just needs to bring down that number a little bit. And I think with him returning to practice, they probably have found some sort of figure that they both can at least find
some middle
acceptable
ground. Exactly.
And just move on from it.
I wish him the best. I hate the Bills, so
I know.
I'm glad that they worked it out. I was actually hoping that they traded him, but Buffalo is always good at finding these off the market type running backs, and they've done that for decades. But we'll get into the Sunday Ticket Red Zone, or it's really not Red Zone, or it's not Sunday Ticket anymore. It's just the Red Zone standalone. But we'll talk about that in the commercials, if that will be added and how fans will interact with that. Plus, Myles Garrett got another speeding ticket. We'll get into that. And if you'd like to win some Bakersfield Brunch Fest tickets, we've got them all week. Text in anytime, 661-842-2000. We are the Early Bird Special.
I need to hear a different song to get Taylor out of my head. Haters. I'm not a hater. Just
I already got a text saying, really, guys, Taylor Swift news.
guys, no.
That's what it says. Taylor Swift
Whoa.
news. Really,
Whoa.
guys?
Whoa, 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 whoa. Travis Kelce.
Well, you talked about her album. I didn't.
Look, dude, it's dropping on the Kelsey podcast. What do you want from me? What is the most popular podcast in sports right
I'll
now?
play Swift all day.
Actually, you know what? I know a girl that would love that right now. I don't know.
But we got a couple more Brunch Fest tickets. Tickets go on sale tomorrow, but you can win them right here on the early bird special. Call or text and maybe some Swift love, maybe some Swift hate. Just text it in 661-842-2000.
I got a good one. Let's hear your best album name for the next Taylor Swift album. Funniest one gets the pair of tickets.
Gosh, that
Keep it PG-13.
Keep it
We're
clean.
on the radio. If we can't say it on the radio, that means YouTube too. I can't give you the tickets. So be clever, not crass. Let's be nice here. I'm not a fan either, but there's no reason to get crazy.
Well, Myles Garrett snags a 100-mile-per-hour ticket, the opener, and he was driving home from the preseason game at 2 a.m., going 100 miles per hour in his 2014 Ferrari, and he was going 160, and he got a $250 speeding ticket. But what was more interesting in this is his 8th speeding ticket since his rookie year in 2017.
Myles Garrett should have a graveyard for all of the tickets that he's had to pay.
Right?
Or maybe the cops who cited him.
I mean, how many tickets do you have to get? I mean, $250, and he's got seven.
Even further than that, though, how many are they going to allow you to get before they take your license away?
And why is he even driving? He's Myles Garrett.
I've said that for years. If I'm an athlete, I get it. I love driving, and I love driving my cars. Don't get me wrong. But if I'm getting paid millions upon millions of dollars, I'm getting a driver.
Would you rather have a $250 ticket
exactly,
or pay the $75 probably from Uber to drive your ass home?
I'm getting a driver. I'm paying a driver. Now, again, I'm not taking them everywhere, but if I'm going somewhere that I like, I don't feel like driving, I'm calling my driver. Say, hey, I need you down at the house in about an hour. That's lavish to me.
It just made me laugh because I also saw a video that came out yesterday with Shador at the preseason game talking a little trash over to Myles Garrett saying, I think this spin move would work on it. And he just laughed. He said, dude,
it wouldn't work.
That won't work on me.
No.
And he said, well, Shador is like, dude, I just want to see if my spin move, maybe once, I want to feel a Myles Garrett hit, not a fully committed 100% Myles Garrett hit. And he said, dude, you don't want that. Plus, we need you. I'm not going to do that. So it's funny to see, Shador coming into his own, but as we said yesterday, he's still listed at quarterback 4. And I wanted to bring that up because on the show before us, Unsportsmanlike with Evan Cohen, and they were talking about Deshaun Watson being at practice yesterday and that he's still under contract, and Cleveland has kind of backed themselves into a situation where he still feels like he is the starter when he comes back 100% healthy. And we're talking about a team that has 5-6 different quarterbacks, and Watson being the highest paid one. I couldn't barely get through that sentence. But Watson, I don't know if it's crazy that Watson still feels like he's the starter or that they still have him under contract.
Oh, someone lives in Delulu land. That's what's happening. You think after everything that's happened, everything, the lawsuits, into the injury, into re-aggravating your injury off the field, keeping yourself out for multiple years.
And bring up his play. I mean, even his football play.
Before you even left, you were the shell of your former self. And you expect to be the star. You know what? No, fine. Let him come out and practice. I say let him come out and practice. Why not? I'm all for everybody getting their shot. If you believe that is what you deserve, come out and work for it. And if you're at practice, then I'm all for it. If he beats out Dylan Gabriel at this point, if he beats out Kenny Pickett at this point, if he beats out Joe Flacco at this point, go for it, brother.
And what was the other quarterback they signed last week?
Tyler Huntley. But let's be honest, I think you're onto something with that one. That might just be a camp body.
How crazy would it be if, I mean, it is the Cleveland Browns, but how crazy would it be and how stupid would the Browns look if they, after all of this talk, start Watson week 1?
It honestly would not surprise me, but we've also heard from Adam Schefter, they've been contemplating keeping 4 quarterbacks this year.
Mm-hmm.
So Dylan Gabriel and Shador might make the roster, plus Joe Flacco and now maybe Deshaun. I don't know. Again, I think you're a little bit delusional if you come out believing that you are owed the starting spot after everything that you have gone through in the last 3 to 5 years. But
it's the Browns.
Yeah, it is the organization that I can honestly say has never really stopped their dumpster fire. All they do is continuously throw gasoline on top of it.
Circus.
And it really would not surprise me. I mean, there's the whole adage Browns are going to brown, and that's legit. Like now, if they don't and they move on from him, the cap hit is probably going to be gnarly, but I'm surprised you haven't already.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe they're waiting for the injury to get cleared so they can stay away from the injury.
Could you imagine that
fees?
Day he was walking in thinking, I'm the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, baby, and we're going to get this started. Puts his helmet down, looks over.
There's 5 quarterbacks standing over there.
The heck are you doing here, dog? Again, it is ludicrous to me for him to believe that he's the starting quarterback just outright. But if you're willing to come to camp and actually prove it and show that you are the quarterback you used to be and you're past all of this other stuff, maybe he does. Maybe he wins that starting spot back and we see Deshaun Watson, Shador Sanders, and Dylan Gabriel in the quarterback room for the Cleveland Browns for the next 2-3 years. But until I see that he comes back to camp and wins that spot, I wouldn't necessarily say that he's the outright starter. That's a little bit delusional in my bag.
And if you're in Cleveland, do you think, I know a lot of talk lately has been probably Dylan Gabriel being traded. Teams have already reached out.
Miami. Especially with and if Quinn comes out and looks that bad again.
Yes, exactly. He's on a short leash.
Yeah, it's probably going to be one of those situations where you're shopping around.
Oh, man.
Again, because you need a backup in Miami. I'm sorry.
We've got a couple, but I mean, we won't lose any sleep, releasing a 7th rounder.
And that's fair. And Zach Wilson actually didn't look that bad for you. He just couldn't make Chicago.
That rollout, he had the tight end wide open for a touchdown, and he was like 6 yards short.
Again, when you're rolling out and you have to change your body direction, stuff like that, you lose the power in the legs. I don't know. Maybe that's just Zach Wilson's issue. Maybe that's one of those things that he has to work on with his game, man.
Well, we will wrap up this hour. And if you've got some Taylor Swift album names,
I'm very curious what you guys
text in,
please.
You might win some Bakersfield Brunch Fest tickets on us. Just text them in 661-842-2000.
And again, not crass, clever. Be clever. Be fun with this. We have to be PG-13. I have to be able to say it on the radio, please. I know a lot of Taylor Swift haters right now. They're like, oh, I got a handful for you. It's like, I know you do, but calm down. You might get some tickets on the other side. And on the other side, we'll talk to our boy 24KG as we talk all things wrestling. What's going to go on with Karrion Kross? Is this legit or is it a work? We'll talk to him about that and much, much more right here on ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back to the Early Bird Special right here on 1.1 FM.
Yeah.
AM. It's time to talk wrestling with our guy 24 kg as we do every week right here on Tuesday post of Monday Night Raw, which was in Quebec, Canada. I believe we actually told you it was in Green Bay, but that
Wait,
website
that's
lied
in
to us.
Quebec again?
It was in Quebec.
Is it pre-recorded?
It's entirely possible, to be honest with you, but they don't exactly tell you that, now do they? But our guy 24 kg is with us in the building. Sir, how are you? How are you feeling?
Doing great, doing good, gentlemen. You know, what can I say? There's a lot going on in the world of wrestling as far as speculation and rumors. Let's just get to it, because before we even jump to that, we got to give a shout out to two guys in the wrestling community, man. One of them being our very own ESPN 101.1 FM's Early Bird Special, Chris Burdick. He called it the Seth Rollins storyline way before Dave LaGreca. JD from NY was also one of the guys that added some speculation to it. I believe you guys were the only two in the internet radio community. Sparky, you was with it too, but you was really like, I really don't care. I just want to see somebody get their butt whipped. I'm with you on the same tip, my guy.
I'm just with Seth, so.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
But
But speculations like this are the reason why we're having this conversation today about Karrion Kross and his contractual status with the WWE and TKO.
Absolutely. And we'll get to that in a second. I have to actually do a sidebar thing here. Gosh dang it. I should have worn my blue Early Bird shirt. I was thinking about it this morning. Sparky's got the purple one on. KG's got the red one on. And now I'm throwing it all off. Gosh dang it.
It's all right. We'll get the coordination down next week. You know what I mean?
I knew this. I knew this.
You know
is
what I
the
mean?
thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about that Karrion Kross situation, because it is #1 trending all over the internet and has been since his contract ended on the 10th. We do not know. It seems like all of this is legit. Okay.
Pretty much.
It seems like all of this contract negotiations were legit. Everything that we had heard, if he had gotten the contract or not, we don't know. They dropped an entire, they are calling it a documentary. I was calling it a documentary. It's more of a vlog of this entire last week and a half, essentially, since the book tour started, and how all of the contract things have been affecting him and Scarlett, which gave a really cool behind the look scene of them as well. But that's kind of why I feel like this all might be a work. And it stems from the documentary or vlog or whatever you want to call it. That was an incredibly made, incredibly produced YouTube vlog, documentary, whatever, that had a lot of video clips in it of interviews that just happened, including Paul Heyman's interview where he gave a lavish review of Karrion Kross and his abilities in the ring and his storytelling abilities, which leads me to believe that WWE had this plan. And this is more, again, of a continuous blurring of this line of what they call kayfabe, which is the essentially level of disbelief for those of you who don't follow wrestling. It's what makes people, believe that this guy is Seth Rollins, not Colby Lopez. This is Roman Reigns, not Joe Anoa'i. This is their entire thing. It's just the curtain, as it were, is kayfabe. So they're blurring that line once again of reality and what is and is not. I genuinely believe this could be a work, but what's your thoughts before I give my theory of where this could be going?
Well, most definitely I agree with you on that aspect of, we don't know now what could be a work and what could not. This is not like what was similarly put out in front of us, like R-Truth or the Jey Uso Yeet movement or the momentum for LA Knight. One thing that WWE used to have a problem with, might still have a problem with, is listening to the fans. We've seen that a lot in the Vince McMahon era. If you weren't put over by the company, and if you dared to get over on your own outside of the business doing other things, it almost seemed like a detriment, like they say, rebellious in nature to some degree, on you're messing up the business's plans that they have for other people. And it's not a sense of going into business for yourself. It's what the fans want. Paul Heyman's comparison to Stone Cold Steve Austin and Karrion Kross simply was based on the fans' desire to see this man put in a better position based on the body of work he's giving to the whole entertainment that we're seeing. You know, the act of wrestling is not an easy one by far. It takes a toll on your body. So when you see someone really giving it their all in everything that you're doing, from promos to inside and out of the ring, to fan interaction, meet and greets, those things do matter to some, to the majority of, but maybe not the ones who write the checks. Seeing as how Paul Levesque, Levesque, Triple H is in charge now, and he's one of the masterminds of blurring what's real and what's kayfabe. We really can't tell if this guy has been released. There's been a document, of him going and doing these interviews and saying, yeah, they let me, well, I'm no longer with WWE, but he's never come out and said, I'm fired or they released me. They took all the merchandise, all mentions of this off the websites and whatnot, which is typical standard for if someone is released. But the thing that's got me is rumors from last night's Monday Night Raw that they were confiscating Karrion Kross fans, that they were muting out "We Want Kross" chants, which goes back to the last PLE where people were chanting right behind Triple H, "We want Kross," and he says, "Oh, you want Brock? Well, you got him." How these things get misinterpreted, I don't know. Hey, I've been in front of loud crowds. You got an earpiece, in your ear. You might misinterpret what they're saying, but when you're right behind the crowd, it's kind of hard to miss. So whether it's a work or not, we're just going to have to see it unfold. If this guy turns up on programming, being the rebellious guy, still trying to get in the building, then of course we know it's a work. But we don't know yet.
I genuinely don't think that he misheard the crowd. I think that the WWE already had made a decision at that point, and he wasn't about to
acknowledge it. Yeah.
And if you really look at every wrestler that he has brought back in that 2022 year when he took over the company, they're all gone.
Yeah.
Every single one of them has been released or unfortunately passed away in the terms of Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
But it is really starting to look like the guys that were his guys, I don't think the writers really have a lot to do with. I don't think they have a lot to really write around, even though they're fantastic wrestlers or characters in their own right. My idea or my thought with all of this is I think Karrion pops up in TNA.
Well, he still has good standings with TNA. Go right ahead.
I think Karrion returns to TNA and becomes a main Carter there, where he becomes arguably the best rival to not only Mike Santana, but Joe Hendry.
It would look good.
I feel like it would be a really good spot for him if all of this is legit and he has lost his contract. Because if that is true, this is now the second time the WWE has let them go, and you usually do not get a third.
Well, one thing I want to point out is that with the working relationship between TKO, TNA, WWE, is that still a possibility? And also, if people do a little Google research, Karrion Kross left TNA originally when it was run by a different regime under some not so cool circumstances. There was an issue with Don Callis that you guys can research. And one thing you don't do in these kind of situations or whatnot is what Don Callis is accused of doing. Now, the man's still lucky to be alive. Put it like that. If he goes back to TNA, under this different regime that's still umbrellaed by WWE, he might have a very bright future there. Will he? I don't know. If he goes to, let's say, AEW, will he become one of those guys that's so popular that writers over there don't have anything for him, or they just allow him to have the creative control and freedom to book his matches as they please, and then we end up with another Aleister Black situation? It's unfortunate to say that, but the man has really gotten over so much to where anywhere he goes, he can command a price, but it would be nice to see a company do this man justice.
Right. No, and I agree with you. And I think if he does leave, obviously AEW is the first one you would think because they're the number one rival. But I think TNA works for him, or outlandish idea. And this just popped up in my head because I forget it's this weekend. I'm very excited to watch it. But Karrion Kross has a very heavy past in Lucha Libre, in legit Lucha Libre. He was a part of the Lucha Underground as the White Rabbit. Triple Mania is this weekend.
There we go.
Triple Mania being part of essentially the WrestleMania for AAA, the Lucha Libre promotion that was just purchased by the WWE. Could we see him potentially go down there as Dominic Mysterio? And many other WWE superstars have been popping up recently.
I don't think that's a possibility to rule out. Anything is possible. Never say never, especially in these times of whether things are a work or a shoot. And speaking of WWE purchases, we've got a lot to get into with this new PLE slate, this acquisition of ESPN, WWE mergers, the PLE drama that's been fever pitching the internet this past 4 days. People being really concerned about, we're getting 5-match PLEs. We're not seeing our stars that we're supporting being, embraced, put on, therefore in a better position. My question is, do you guys feel like, other than the Vince McMahon scandal, could this be, despite the best profiting year in WWE history, could this be PR-wise one of the worst years for WWE in how they're handling their talent?
I don't necessarily think it's bad PR. I just think it's an oversaturation of talent that they have that they can't suit. You can't have everybody with a title. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't facilitate everybody.
I said this when they were signing all of these big names, like your Stephanie Vicares, your Julias, all these people back in the day, like your Rusevs when they came back. Granted, it's great to see these guys. And honestly, for fans out there who were chanting for R-Truth, as much as we were so upset that you were so upset that R-Truth was gone.
Yeah.
Now other people have to bite the dust because now they had to pay him.
Yeah.
Maybe Karrion Kross was on that short list along with Scarlett. Potentially Austin Theory might be on that short list right now because we haven't seen him in months.
He was released last week.
Was he released?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah.
I thought he was moved to the inactive roster due to injury that they will not elaborate on.
Of course,
exactly. So it's like
there's always the 90-day, clause of not speaking out or anything or wrestling like that until the contract is completely done. So
I think you just hit it right there, because as a big Karrion Kross fan, I also think I don't know if you would call it writer's block or the relationship he has with the writing group, but it almost seemed like it was running its course when they rematched the Sammy match. And I'm like, okay, well, it seems like they're running dry with what direction they wanted to do with. And I think maybe it is probably the best for them to click reset and let him, grow as a wrestler or a character outside of the WWE. And maybe in a year or so, they find another spot for him.
It's possible. It's very much possible. This guy doesn't run short on anything to present as far as an intriguing television segment. We know that. It's just what's going to work best. What's going to...
I missed the 3-piece that they had with him and the 2 other guys. When they let them go, I was like, yeah, because that was just starting to work. So I have no idea.
Faction with AOP and again, they have made a handful of releases recently just because, like I said, there's too much talent that they have to pay. And that's not even counting all the talent that they have brewing right now in NXT, who are far better athletically than a lot of these guys they're letting go of. I mean, a lot of fan favorites are going to be let go here pretty soon. I'm going to call it right now. I'm pretty sure Otis and a lot of those guys are going to be probably moved on from. I wouldn't be surprised if Grayson Waller eventually gets the cut. A lot of these talents haven't really panned out like they were hoping for. Pretty Deadly, I think, is one of those that haven't really been panning out like they were hoping they would. And eventually that's just part of the game. I think everyone really needs to start looking, especially in the wrestling culture, you got to start looking at these promotions as more of sports teams, not necessarily sports organizations. So instead of looking at the WWE like the NFL, look at them like the Dallas Cowboys. Whereas AEW would be your Green Bay Packers. You know what I mean? Like, some people have a ton of money that they can spend on stuff, but you can only spend so much money and not everybody can work for the same team. So it's all about just figuring out who you can pay for, when you can pay for it, and how you can get the most out of them. And maybe they just didn't have the storylines for Karrion.
Well, I was exhausted
I
yesterday.
agree.
When I finally got home, so I missed Raw. So what did I miss? Is there anything I need to replay and watch it tonight, or was
I'm
it just kind of a smooth
tripling
Raw?
down, quadrupling down, whatever, 5, 10, 20. I'm right. We're
How
getting
many El Grandes are there,
Punk.
bro?
No, there's
Oh
only
my
one yesterday.
goodness.
There was only one yesterday, thank God. But again, they're doubling down on this War Games match. We're gonna get CM Punk and Seth having their own teams, and we're gonna go from there. I don't know who's joining them, but at this point, I think LA Knight is
Yeah.
solidifying himself to be part of this story.
I feel like at this point it's a scramble for Clash to Paris. They're kind of just throwing whatever sticks to the wall. You
Who
know,
needs the pin in Paris, though?
possibly Jey Uso. You
I
know, I
think
don't
so,
know
too.
why he was even thrown in this.
That's exactly why
Yeah, I have, you know, Roman Reigns is off filming right now. Supposedly, we've got Big Bronson Reed rocking the Shula Fala, which is insanely dope. You know, it's crazy to see that.
he stole Jay's shirt to yesterday too. He
That
ripped it
was
right off his
and,
body.
and just had it in his mouth like a dog, just going crazy. That
But see,
great.
again, they're building this up to be this rough, tough team of Seth Rollins taking out dang near everybody who's been the kingpin of the last couple years, right?
The
So
Vision.
who joins the Vision and is part of this at the end of it all? You know what I mean?
I don't really see anybody else joining the Vision. You know, I
Don't think the fourth member's happening anymore.
possibly, but you know what? Seth has been shown to work very well in a 3-man group, and maybe, just maybe, you know, because I was hoping Logan Paul would have joined at a certain point, but I don't think we really need anybody else in that faction. They're pretty much over. Bronson Reed is the guy. Braun Breaker is the next guy, pretty much up. Are they lying though? That pretty much is the future of WWE, and you could add some other guys in there. But I'm just talking specifically about this faction that we have. Will it stand the test of time? Nah. But for right now, it makes compelling television because there's nothing else that's really drawing other than Cody, Roman. The segment between last night's promo with CM Punk and
LA Knight.
LA Knight was very cautious. I felt like they held back because they're both faces. So they had to not go in, but still give them enough from the fans that shows them, hey, you know what? I respect you, but F you. Okay. I'm here to get my shot. You're here to get your shot. We both deserve a shot, but somebody's got to go first. And that's going to be me, and vice versa. So I get that for it to make sense for us to get an episode of Raw. Long term, we'll see how this plays out. Really nothing special. Some great matches, though. Roxanne Perez, Io Sky. That was a banger. Other than that, they actually gave everybody some time last night. Hell, we even had Maxine and Becky Lynch go at it for the women's IC title, which I can say she's improved a lot. You know, Maxine has really improved a lot. Good for her because we want to see her wrestle a lot more. There's a lot of potential there, but we won't know until she gets the reps. Putting her in the ring with Becky was like, you know, throwing a wounded seal to a shark. It looked great.
That's messed up, but it's true.
It looked great, but overall, none of these matches really meant anything or moved any storylines ahead. It just bought us time till the next PLE.
No, I disagree with that wholeheartedly. Are you kidding? The entire thing
opinion.
with Seth and the entire thing with LA Knight.
The obvious was there, but what else?
Just talking about that.
You know, the Sami Zayn just all of a sudden in a program with the MFTs, this U.S. title deference from coming off the Karrion Kross storyline. But Triple H is a master of the slow burn. He doesn't care what Twitter fingers are busy doing, what they're saying. If Sparky's right, in some time, maybe they're just giving this guy some time off. This might be like an R-Truth situation that they have now with the experience of those type of movements, know how to mute, nullify, and then boom, reintroduce when we least expect it. That's one of the things that you can count on with WWE right now when you least expect it, whether you like it or not. Hey, I didn't like Goldberg coming back. I really thought they might have, because Goldberg is known for getting his way, going out with that world title. I was like, that could have been a possibility, and I didn't like any of it. But nonetheless, I was surprised. So
Honestly,
let's just keep watching the product.
There is a little bit that makes me believe from his merchandise too, that they've dropped Karrion Kross's merchandise, that makes me feel like this might be a turnaround too, because I can't remember the terminology they use, but it was like he doesn't leave his people kind of a thing. So I think this is going to be something that brews over here in the next couple of days. But I disagree in this sense too. What I think they did a beautiful job last night in building is we are seeing two talents in Bronson Reed and LA Knight both finally getting built as characters, as main eventers. You're finally getting LA Knight thrown into the main event in terms of title shots, and he's interacting with all of them. He's causing friction between him and CM Punk, which is going to lead to a feud. And can you imagine the verbal back and forth between them in the next couple months to years for a championship? Not to mention, Bronson Reed had a whole promo yesterday that called out
that promo. I'm gonna keep it real, was fire, bro.
And that's what I'm saying. Hold on. Let me get this out before I forget.
I agree with you on that aspect. Go ahead.
I get you, but let me get this out before I forget. Don't forget what happened with Bronson Reed before he left to get injured and got injured. He took out Seth. They are lining up main eventer after main eventer for Bronson Reed to take down, to build him up to be a main eventer as well. You're pulling two guys out of the mid card right in front of everybody's eyes without even telling everybody.
And that's the path they were kind of already on. Now I feel you on what you just said there, accelerating it in front of everybody. But also,
we are building to a one-on-one between Roman and the Shula Fala holder, the Bronson Reed. We are building to this entire feud between Seth and LA Knight and all of them, most likely ending this in some sort of fashion where LA Knight gets a championship run at some point.
Hopefully.
Like, I think there's plenty of stories that have been built after yesterday. It's just not exactly what we were expecting in terms of right in front of your face.
I think these were already in play. Nonetheless, why I don't feel like the story has really moved along, because these were kind of already obvious and set up. Now they're just getting more screen time because Cody's going to go film a movie. Roman's filming a movie. We've got more people filming movies or taking off time. So somebody
they did mention Roman is very limited in the movie and will be back shortly.
The character he plays is very minuscule in the game.
Right. You know, he's important, but it's only, you know, like, for a certain aesthetic, you know, the aesthetic aspect of, oh my God, look forward to this. But like you said, to pluck these guys from the upper mid card, because trajectory wise in the company, they were on a good path. Before Bronson Reed injured his ankle, you know, Braun Breaker, he's pretty much been just rising to the occasions and surpassing expectations with everything. Right. And even last night, you see he had a heavily taped knee. He was stiff with that spear that he delivered on the outside of the ring, man, at the end of the match. Nonetheless, I would have to say I'm looking forward to Bronson Reed and Roman Reigns eventually when we get to that, because that right there, that's a pay-per-view match in the making, whether you want to open the PLE or close it, depending on where that storyline goes. That's money on the table that you can pick up every time. Oh, and I miss that there used to be more house shows, because I'm pretty sure if there was a house show circuit that these guys were working, we would have seen that match somewhere surface. So hey, the things we miss out on.
But again, that's my point, though, is that we're seeing an authentic way. Because like you said, the fans have already been behind Breaker this whole time. They're behind Jay. So you don't need to build them anymore. They've already got the rocket on their butt and they're on their way up. People like Bronson Reed and LA Knight need to be pulled up there. So when the time comes for people like CM Punk and all of them to kind of take a step back and take their time off, because that'll happen eventually, you'll have these pieces in play that'll obviously be able to fill and go and have their own runs as well. Because that's the next question I was going to lead to you, because we've been talking about this off the camera. Cody Rhodes obviously being one of those people that also will be leaving to shoot the Street Fighter movie, as he's playing Guile, the American Army soldier. Who's going to be taking the title off of him on SmackDown? Personally, I think this Drew McIntyre thing might be building up for him to finally get a run with this title belt.
I agree with you. And it's past due time that it's past due for Drew. Put it like that. You know, the last time we seen this man hold a title was what, 2 minutes? And then
No,
he got
it was
cashed
longer
in
than
on.
that.
Was it longer than that? Was it
It was
4
longer
minutes?
than that. It was
He
like
had it-
7 or
He
something
had it
like that.
30 seconds longer than CM Punk.
Yeah.
There we go. You
so
know
it's
what I mean? So, and Damian Priest was able to capitalize on that, and they went on to have a great feud as well. So I would definitely agree with you on it's time for Drew to get his just due. And who else would be better to take the title off of Cody, whether it's temporary, long term? Cody's better when he's always chasing the belt. Like, honestly.
Well, the face is always better when he's chasing the belt and he's the underdog.
And Drew McIntyre's bored at work tweets, the things that he's doing to get over seemingly effortlessly in these matches, the work he just did with Jelly Roll and Logan Paul, it's time. He carried us through COVID. Come on, along with Roman, but he was also a main aspect during the COVID era on keeping WWE afloat as a product. So
he's been far the leader on social media for every wrestler. Like he has the biggest following outside of Roman, I believe. But there's nobody else heel wise on that show that makes sense. You're not going to have Logan Paul beat him. That doesn't make a lot of sense at all. He is a emerging presence. I think that he commands a room. And honestly, I agree with you. I think he could dominate a lot of people. I'd love to see him and Damian Priest run it back. I would love to see a lot of these matches. Maybe Sheamus gets a shot at him once. You know what I mean? I think Drew could really handle a lot of great stories and great feuds in the next couple of months to get us through this entire gap we're going to have with Cody being gone shooting this movie.
I think we could really get a good Drew and Jacob Fatu.
That too. I think
that would be insane.
And honestly, and let's also not forget that Drew McIntyre still owes Solo one. Still owes Solo.
Sensational.
Because he has not come back for Solo since all of this bloodline stuff has ended.
I'd rather see him with Tala.
Definitely.
Tala and McIntyre.
That would be interesting. We do got to get this big guy in a ring.
Got to get him somewhere.
One question I want to give to you guys before we get out of here is, how do you feel about the PLE price hike, merger, acquisition with ESPN and TKO, especially with UFC coming off the back end of this with a $1.7 billion streaming deal with Paramount.
7.7, but yeah,
something like that. Not small change. Nothing major to a super corporation. But how do you guys feel about the supposed paying $500 a year to watch PLE's type of information that we've been getting? When really, I'll let you guys answer first before I.
It's a twofold answer for me. One, I feel like obviously the price hike for WWE fans sucks, but I do feel like there's going to be some sort of package that allows you to watch those alone if you need to. Then maybe a heavily discounted price, I would assume maybe $10 to $15 instead of $30, because the $30 price is like the whole package. You get like everything ESPN provides. But my twofold answer is also this. I think as wrestling fans, we've kind of been spoiled for a very long time. You've only had to pay $8-9 to Peacock and $10 to the WWE before that to be able to watch these, instead of the years in which I know most of us remember having to pay $30 to $40 when these pay-per-views were
60.
I was going to say, I grew up, it was $59.99.
Yeah, $60. So I think we've been spoiled for a long time, and it's time like this where it kind of turns around. And it's also kind of funny to me that TKO really just swapped, because if the UFC is going to Paramount's like $11-12 a month. It'll probably go up to 15 with UFC coming over, but that's still a considerably cheaper amount than what you were paying for an actual pay-per-view.
Definitely. Spark, how do you feel about it?
I was kind of expecting it. Of course, me thinking, with the NFL coming up and we've got Netflix, we've got all of them. I turned off Paramount Saturday and then came in Monday to hear, UFC just signed with Paramount. I'm like,
Yeah.
But no, I'm not too concerned about it. Obviously, the money issue, but hopefully everything is all into one. Well, I haven't seen any standalones. I know ESPN's going to pump it up because with Disney and Hulu now combining into one app, I think that will help with Hulu Live
Give us a
for
bundle.
me.
Yes.
Give
But-
us a bundle.
My number one thing is are we going to get all of the shows, all of the archives? We're going to get, because there's certain shows that you could only watch on Hulu.
And
There's only certain
Amazon.
shows
Yeah.
on, and exactly.
A&E and all those other
Just
things.
too
Well,
pricey.
the thing is, like what Chris said about a bundle, I think what's being lost here and what's not being led with, that if you already have ESPN or Disney Plus or Hulu Live after this merger and the new app and everything is out there, you will not have to resubscribe and you'll already be locked in to the subscription. Whatever you may adjust your subscription rate or access at, you'll still have access to this, which is I think being lost, you know what I mean, in translation with people seeing this $5.99 a year in the US. The reason why things haven't been consolidated just to one platform yet is after the WWE Network broke up. Basically, you've got the library over here, you've got the rights to live shows over there and live shows over here. As soon as these contracts wind down, we're going to get them all acquired to a single platform, hopefully one day. And then after that, we'll see where we're at.
Yeah, and we'll call it cable.
Yeah.
That's all we got for you
That's
this week, my
perfect.
friend. Thank you so much
Perfect.
for your time. We got to take a break, pay some bills.
Most
You are
definitely.
listening to the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield.
Like and subscribe.
Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield, streaming live on YouTube as well. You follow us, Early Bird Special. And the NBA has released a handful of games that they will use to tip off the season in October. Looks like the games that were announced on the October 22nd slate of doubleheaders, the Cleveland Cavaliers will visit the Knicks, along with the Cooper Flag-led Mavericks will host the Spurs. And then the next night, the Thunder will face the Pacers in an NBA Finals rematch that will not see Tyrese Halliburton, unfortunately, and will probably be ugly, to be completely honest with you. While the next game will be the Denver Nuggets will visit the Warriors, as we see if this Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler-led team can work for an entire season, hopefully. Which one are you most excited to see, sir? And then we'll get into the Christmas Day games as well, because those are actually I'm very excited with this slate of games we got for Christmas, especially
there was no Lakers, but
one of the Lakers will be taking place on the 21st, I believe.
I would probably think the
opening.
Knicks.
I'm sorry, we should have actually opened with that. The opening night games are the Houston Rockets at the Oklahoma City Thunder, and then the Warriors will be playing the Lakers. That'll take place.
That's the game
21st.
I would watch. OKC in Houston, but no, the Cavs Knicks game should be good. We'll see how this team looks like without Thibodeau, and we'll probably see more than 6 or 7 players on the Knicks play. But I'm looking forward to it. Let's get ready for some football. I'm pumped for football. Baseball playoffs are right around the corner.
See, but
damn Astros won yesterday.
Well, again, you're not that far behind. Don't worry. There's still time. You have time. It's all good. Plus, you have that wild card spot locked up right now. Might be a better idea to beat a wild card spot. I'm just saying. But at this point right now, I think the NBA slate of Christmas games, which was also released, these could actually be pretty good ones to combat the NFL.
No.
I don't think you're going to beat the NFL, and let's not get crazy. There's still going to be plenty of people running to their couches to watch NFL football. But we get another Cavs at Knicks game, which also extends the Knicks record to 58, I believe. The first ever Christmas Day game was in Madison Square Garden back in 1947. So this will be their 58th since then. The Spurs at the Thunder will also be on the games. Rockets at Lakers, Mavericks at Warriors, and Timberwolves at Nuggets. I think that's a fantastic slate of games. LeBron James, if he plays, will be in his 20th Christmas Day game. You got to do something to combat the NFL at this point. And I think that's probably one of the best slates I've seen, especially with how this season looks like it's going to start out, barring any injuries. But I'm excited for NBA basketball to come back as well. But you're right. It's going to be football season here right around the corner. And that's what everybody really wants to hear about and talk about.
Well, going to football and bouncing off cable, what we just talked about. The NFL Red Zone, now the home of ESPN. If you have a Sunday ticket, you could still get it on YouTube Plus.
Well, technically, it doesn't start until 2026. It has to be approved first. Because that's what Hansen was talking about on Eisen yesterday, is technically nothing changes for this season. It all changes for next season.
Well, it was already on YouTube and Hulu.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what he was saying. Like, so if you have
I'm just talking about the
providers and
original. Yeah, I mean, it's still going to be on Red Zone.
Yeah.
Red Zone will still be on ESPN and Hulu and YouTube Plus.
And every other platform you were already getting it on.
Pretty much. But if you were one of those that were complaining about the commercial box on the corner, Scott Hansen was on the Rich Eisen show yesterday and just talked about it's not him that you have to complain to, because I'm sure there's a lot of keyboard warriors attacking this man just because he's the face of NFL Network and blaming him for the commercials.
Well, of course, it's his decision. He's the one who makes the commercials too, Sparky.
Of course.
He puts the box there.
Well, this is what he had to say on Eisen yesterday.
There is no one on the planet who wants to show you more football than I do. I guarantee it. And I hope people can understand that. So everyone who dives in my mentions to be like, why are you putting commercials on? That's not my pay grade.
So you're saying there are commercials.
I very tactfully, there are people who can answer that question, and they're not sitting in this chair right now. I host They do the business. But I'll tell you this: no matter what hand I'm dealt or we're dealt, I'm going to give you the best experience that I possibly can. The crew and I are ready to go, but truly that comes from above. And I think everyone watching has a boss, probably has a boss in their life, and I do too. And we'll see you September 7 to give you the best that we can.
So the positive, if you're a Red Zone fan, you don't have to leave or do anything to your provider this year. You can continue to do what you're doing. Now, next year, you might have to change it up, but there's not going to be any movement from you. The negative sounds like the commercials aren't leaving either.
Probably get more.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're probably going to get more because that's kind of how these guys make money.
Well, we've seen it in the last couple of years where you don't miss it, but you miss the kind of live version of it. Well, they'll come back and show you the replay of what you missed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably the future of Red Zone for all sports, pretty much.
Yeah, and especially if they want to expand this into college football, potentially basketball and college basketball, especially for the March Madness tournaments. Could you imagine? I was thinking about that over the weekend, how they could incorporate this in different sports. You could have a March Madness red zone. You could have a college World Series red zone. You could have a Little League World Series red zone. Like, it could be an incredible thing that they could spread across all sports. You could see Hanson's face year round. You really could. So, yes, we're going to have to deal with commercials. I'm sorry. Like, I really don't get everybody's gripe against commercials. I really don't. Sometimes you need a break from watching what you're watching.
Nope.
I think binging, melts your brain, makes you smooth. It's not something you want. I promise.
Have you seen these commercials these days?
Again,
that's melting your brain more.
Back in the day were just as bad. It's just a commercial. Look away from the television. It's okay.
No thanks.
Look away from the TV for a minute or two while
Give
the
me
commercial
time
rolls.
to go to the bathroom and
exactly
hit the keg.
Exactly. Go get yourself a drink while the commercials roll. It's okay. Take a break. That's the whole point. And plus, let them make some more money. So I don't really understand the hate for it, but I've never really hated on commercials to begin with.
I cannot stand commercials. So, but on that, we'll take a commercial break. And we'll get through a long list of some Taylor Swift album titles.
Ooh, we got a list.
We've got
Sweet.
some listeners. We've got 5 or 6, and we'll pick a winner. And that listener will win a pair of tickets to Bakersfield Brunch Fest, which tickets go on sale tomorrow for the early bird at BakersfieldBrunchFest.com. But we'll wrap up the show right after this break. We are the early bird special on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. Welcome back. Final segment of the day. I want to thank KG for joining us. Join us tomorrow. We're joined by another fantastic 5'9" fighter. The cruiserweight champion will be joining us.
Yeah.
We have Hop on Thursday. Talk all things movies. Get caught up on everything. I want to hear what he had to say about Fantastic Four and
Weapons.
Absolutely. I still need to go see this. I'm supposed to go see Superman tonight. I know I'm way behind on these movies right now,
I
but
haven't seen Superman yet.
I haven't. I've been so behind on things, man. It's been rough for the kid. It really, really has. But we have plenty of text messages to get to, so we can get you guys some tickets. You don't miss out on Brunch Fest coming in October 11th to the Kern County Fairgrounds.
Well, that
What we
pawned
got?
off our first message that said Taylor Swift news. Really, guys?
Look, I'm sorry, man. When Taylor Swift is on ESPN, because she's one of the top stories on ESPN right now.
Well, the some album ideas.
Absolutely, let's hear them.
Year 87 was the first one.
Nice. Okay. Okay.
The next one says "Make It Stop."
Okay.
Will you marry me already?
Yes.
Was the third one
With the picture of Travis.
The other one says "Loathe at First Sight."
Oh God, that's a good one.
The next one says "X, Drugs, and Rock and Roll."
Okay.
That is not a Taylor Swift album.
Yeah, unless she's doing a rock album, I don't know if that fits very well.
And the other one says "Only one tight end in my life."
Oh, that's good. That's fantastic. God, there's 3 or 4 in there that are actually very, very good. And honestly, if you have seen the promo for this too, I don't know if Travis is just incredibly uncomfortable having her on the podcast. Like he can't talk like he usually does because he looks very stiff, or he's reaching that point of, oh God, this is what I'm getting for the rest of my life.
This is my world now.
Like he did not look like himself during this promo at all. I don't know, which one was your favorite? I like the tight end one.
I like the tight end one.
Tight end one was funny. I thought "Will You Marry Me Already?" That's a fantastic one as well. "Make It Stop" was obviously, that's pretty funny.
I think the plan was to do it at the Super Bowl.
Was it
if
really?
They won.
Oh, well,
that's
Sorry,
what
Swifties.
Jason had said. He said, "Well, we had something set up, but you have to win the game first."
Oh, that's
womp, womp.
Yeah, you're not gonna make it there either. Let's go with the tight end. Only one tight end in my life. I think that was pretty clever. That's pretty funny.
Just won a pair of tickets to Bakersfield Brunch Fest.
Fantastic. We'll reach out to you and get your information as well before we get out of here. We got plenty to talk about.
Well, the last text is going back to yesterday's show on the Dynasty League, and he said he just wanted to give me notes saying, "I played in a Dynasty League, and it's fun, but it takes a ton of time, and it gets irritating if and when you have a few guys that give up and it turns into a waste of time when you're the only one paying attention to it."
That's my thing too, is that I run into that problem every single year when somebody loses 4 or 5 games in a row and they're just like, I'm done. I don't want to play this anymore.
Yep.
Like
I usually lock up that team.
Yeah. And it's like, I get it. You lose faith, but if you're in a dynasty league, you can't do that.
No.
You are committed. Like this was everything we talked about yesterday. And from what I read up on, this is a whole different level of commitment. So if you don't absolutely love fantasy football, I would not recommend getting into a dynasty
6, 7 weeks into it, and you're like, dude, I don't have time for this. And
yeah.
it kind of ruins, 3 or 4 year contracts that you've signed with players. And then you have to find somebody else that will adopt this team that's already put together. It's kind of rough.
Right. And if your team isn't put together well, you're not going to find somebody that's going to want it. And yeah, it's a situation where you have to be fully committed to a couple years. That's why if you have a situation where it's been the same 10 guys playing with you for the last, decade, do a dynasty league.
Yeah.
You guys are clearly committed enough to play together. And it would honestly probably just take your group to the next level in terms of you don't have to worry about losing out on players every year. But if you're just somebody who's just jumping into one and you're not sure if you're going to be able to be committed enough, I would
don't do it. But I appreciate the message. That kind of puts a highlight on something I'm going to throw in that chat room with these guys. Be like, hey, if you're going to do it.
Yeah, be committed.
If you're on the fence, I don't even want to play.
And that's why I'm saying like that. That's kind of what has deterred me as well, along with just the fact that I haven't really found a lot of people that would join one. Because if I do a dynasty league, I would like to make one with people I know aren't going to quit, right? Like people I know aren't going to go into this halfway through the season and say, "Oh, I don't feel like playing with this anymore." Like if you quit on a season, that's fine. Like if you sit there and like a couple years ago, like my brother-in-law who had he had Nick Chubb and like Joe Burrow and all these guys who were just hurt, so he couldn't really do anything. So he quote like, yeah, sure, he gave up on the year, but he continued. Like he still was strategizing. Okay, how can I make my team better next year? Who's going to drop who? Who should I pick up? And he ended up, I think, getting pretty close to winning, if not winning the next year. So that kind of a thing, I'm completely cool with. But when you got a guy who's just like, I'm done, I don't want to play this anymore
When
because
you're playing
I lost
somebody in the
last year.
playoff, or you're fighting for a playoff spot, and you're playing a
Right.
guy, and
he doesn't have to
he's
worry
got
about it.
three
because,
players on IR.
Yeah, and that aren't even playing, and it's like, no, that's not how this works. That's not how this should work. It's just not fun for anybody. So I don't know. I appreciate the note as well.
Yeah,
but
I appreciate it, and we'll get into our Fantasy Friday. This Friday, we'll get into running backs, which will be a deeper conversation than last week's with the quarterbacks.
I'm going to leave the number up to you guys. What do you want us to give you? A top 10, top 15? How much do you want to hear from us, and how many players would you like us to highlight? I mean, theoretically, I guess we can give you a top 32, right? But it's really just going to be all the starters in the NFL.
Yeah.
So how many would you guys like to hear about? I don't want to give you too many. I don't want to give you not enough at the same time. I think 10 quarterbacks last week. Well, theoretically 13, because we gave you 3 sleepers as well.
And the sleepers will really matter most in the running backs and receiving cores.
Oh, 100%. I have one for receivers that I'm keeping my eye on for a while now, or not for a while, but I'm keeping my eye on just because of what I've seen for a while now. I like what I see. And I'm just saying right now, New England's at it again. New England's at it again.
The running back?
No.
Their running back looked good yesterday or this weekend too.
The little feisty white wide receiver they found again from Eastern Washington. I'm telling you, dude, I don't know what it is about New England, but they can find that slot receiver that just beats you up. And I mean, I guess you could talk about running back too, because they had Woodhead for a long time and he looked great for them as well.
Well, it's a whole different league. These little white boys get knocked out quickly in these leagues.
This dude looked tough, dude. He took a couple hits in that first game. He bounced off a lot of people. I genuinely believe Drake may have found his slot receiver, although it depends where they really want to put Stephon Diggs, because if you want Stephon in the slot, it's going to be really rough balancing these two at the same time. So we'll see what we will see when we get into New England and all of the rest of the NFL. Another story I want to get to real quick before we get out of here with the last 2 minutes. If you're an Eagles fan, we talked about this yesterday, but Landon Dickerson was hurt during your first game. There has been some positive news, though. He has gotten a procedure done on the meniscus, and it looks like he will be able to return for the season. So he's not going to be out for as long as we thought he would be. I believe they said the earliest they would consider it would be probably September 4th in the regular season opener. I still think you leave him out for a little bit just because this is a meniscus injury, and that's a serious injury, especially for an offensive lineman and a guard, somebody who has to move a lot more than a tackle does, and you have to sustain a lot of weight. You got to push against these guys that are 300 pounds and trying to bowl you over. I say you probably will see him week 2, week 3, maybe in the NFL. I'm not going to rush it back, though, if I am the head coach of the Eagles. I say, let's hold off on it. Let's make sure you're ready to go, because if the Eagles want to make a deep playoff run, they're going to need that offensive line that they had last year. So, but thank you for joining us. That is all we got for you guys today. Join us back tomorrow. Once again, we'll talk to our guys from 559 Fights about their fights coming up this weekend out in Visalia and much, much more. Also, go follow us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I promise there's going to be more reels coming out. I'm working on them as we speak. And there's more videos coming out as well. Our fantasy football videos will be up there for you shortly. Our breakdowns of the NFL divisions are already up there, plus many interviews that we've done from the past week, or past months. I apologize. Leanne Morgan, Cactus Tate, Joel Iriarte, fantastic guests that we've had. Go back and check those out as well if you haven't seen them. Until then, we got to get out of the way for the great Rich Eisen. Sparky, let's get out of here.